Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Tuesday, September the 16th, 2025. It's all right day. Nothing to scream and shout about. We did have some activity going on, little minor stuff, but you know what? I'm gonna start with the end of the show because the end of the show was the good stuff. So I have a video that I did download for you to see, but before we get into that, I want to make sure I mention this Saturday, September the 20th, 2025 at 5 p.m. Pacific time, which is, I think, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be live streaming on YouTube. We're going to talk about what has happened from August 16th on. A lot of stuff has happened. Let's all talk about it. Joss saved Vaughn. She shot that assassin. Maxie goes into a coma. Drew tries to press charges over a little blackened eye he got from Michael. We know that went awry. Stella got arrested. We've got Rick got abducted and is held captive. And Willow talked to Christina trying to get her to testify against her brother. That didn't go well. So we got a lot to talk about, and I'm looking so forward to talking with all of you on Saturday. Now let's dive right into GH. Today I call it Nina summons her inner Lizo, and she finally talks to Willow the way Willow deserves to be talked to. I loved every bit of it. But let's play that little clip that I do have of it. I have of it. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see, share screen. I'm going to share the screen that has my media player on it. And I'm going to share the computer sound, everybody. All right, this should be it.
Willow, you keep blaming me because you refuse to see what's right in front of your face. That you threw your life away for a terrible man. You're not the first woman to do it, and you won't be the last. But that's what you did.
It wouldn't have happened if you had just told me.
Would that have made a difference? I used to believe it would, but now I don't, because all anyone hears from you over and over again is Drew is a good man. I mean, it gets nauseating.
How dare you?
How dare you? Continue to blame me and everyone else for your own failure to see what was right in front of you. Drew's 9-year-old daughter has run away from camp twice to try to see the family he's keeping from her.
I don't agree with that decision.
Did you tell Drew that you don't agree with him about Scout? That's what I thought.
He is Scout's father.
And you keep making excuses for him. You could find a freezer full of heads in his basement, and you'd still go on about what a good man Drew is.
That might have been true once, but I see him for who he is now.
Then why do you keep letting him control you?
I have a mind of my own.
Yeah, when's the last time you used it? I mean, really used it. He keeps promising you that he's going to get your children back, and you believe him? He uses those children to get you to do what he wants. Nina, move in with me. Marry me. Come back to me. And you do it every single time.
I'm only doing it because I have to get my kids back.
And whose idea was that?
Drew has power and influence
Over you. Over you. Why can't you see that Drew is manipulating you? Not me.
If you're right, if I've given up control of my life to Drew, you're the one who stood by and watched me do it.
Whoa, okay. Now, that was the kind of exchange that Nina should have been having. You would, if you wouldn't have been watching who she was talking to, you would have thought she was talking to Carly, right? Huh. See, because after her witnessing the horror of her Aunt Liesel the night before, she realized I've been a little too soft. Because look, Willow comes over and tells Nina, I got an email from Rick. He says he's going on some kind of digital retreat and he's going to be off the grid for a while. And so she says, wait, what? With your custody hearing coming up? Although it hasn't been rescheduled, right? So she says, yeah, I guess he's not so good after all. While he was emailing you your invoice, he BCC'd, blind copied me the invoice. She goes, you would think he would be smarter than to do that. And Nina said, he is smarter than to do something like that. Because guess what, everybody? You have to go through extra steps to blind copy someone. And for those of you that don't know, you're sending an email to Daily Recap Lady, but you also want to send it what you sent me. You want to send that same copy to your best friend, Sarah, but you don't want me to know that somebody else is seeing this email. So you click BCC, blind copy. And that person will get the email just like I get the email and they see what I see. Well, that's how Willow got the invoice. Of course, that Ava mastermind that, right? But anyway, Willow, that wasn't their final scene. They had another scene at the end where Willow circles right back around to it being Nina's fault. And she said, we're right back here again. I see. Right back here again. She ended up telling her, people say that I'm selfish, that I only do something that benefits me. And Willow says, and they'd be right. And Nina said, thank you, Willow. And she goes, for what? She goes, because now I see. And she steps up to her. Close she goes, like mother, like daughter. And Willow looked at her. I am nothing like you. Oh, you're not, Willow. You're not. And then she walks out of there saying, because of you, I have lost everything. Now, I wonder how you're going to feel if somebody does that to you. And Nina just watches Willow stomp out with that statement. And she's thinking, well, chick, what's that supposed to mean? Because she was mad. She says, well, did you know about the digital retreat for Rick? This is before they got into their verbal confrontation. And Nina says, how would I know about the digital retreat Rick is going to? And Willow said, well, you hired him. You would think you would know what your lawyer's doing. And Nina just looked at her. She goes, you did hire Rick, didn't you? So Nina said, yes, I did. And she goes, wow, you're admitting it. You're telling the truth about it. And she says, I did it, Willow, because you didn't have an attorney and you couldn't afford Rick. And you needed a good attorney to go up against Michael and his connections and Diane. And so she says, you knew I wanted nothing to do with you. She says, yes, I did. But I also knew you needed my help. Okay? So yes, I hired Rick. And she says, I could have found my own attorney. Nina says, how? On a nurse's salary? The kind of attorney you're gonna need? You absolutely couldn't afford it. Well, I could have found one. Nina says, no, you couldn't. Okay. So needless to say, now Willow is just slapped in the face, and she got to finally see good what she needed to see. When Nina gets those eyes, see, Nina could show you thought Obrat showed crazed anger. Nina got that down on lock. Okay. Whoa. And I said, good. Nina needed, Willow needed to see all of that, all of it. Okay. So we had BLQ talking to Lulu. Lulu came over to tell her about Britt. See, because it benefits me and my child. I'm going to come to you, my arch enemy. Okay. You know, kind of insinuating, but not that this is your, all something you started, which it wasn't. Bottom line, Britt coming back to Port Charles is something completely independent of Rocco reaching out to Obret because of what Lulu, that file. But what she's saying is Rocco's going to want to speak to Britt. And Lulu says, okay, but what would be so wrong with that? Because Rocco knows you and Dante love him. He has both of his parents, right? And so she goes, but what if Britt rejects him? Now, everybody, come on now. We all know she wishes Britt would reject him, right? She doesn't want Britt to embrace him. If she rejects him, Rocco could get hurt. So then you would think you wouldn't be talking so crappy to Britt. And Rocco's going to be the one that wants to reach out to Britt. Britt may want to, but Rocco's going to do it. So facilitate it. You be there. Control that narrative, but they don't get control in the narrative. They just don't. Her and Dante, right? So I fast forwarded the rest of what her and Brook Lynn said because I didn't care. Could care less. Little James had couldn't sleep. Felicia brought him over to see Cody, and he feels it's Maxie's fault that she had her heart attack, and and they reassured him it's not his fault. And so they said, why would you think that? And he said, remember when he fell off the roof and he broke his arm? He said, Mommy said that I was going to give him a heart attack. And look, she's had a heart attack. And he said, because of the things that I do. So it's my fault. And they're like, they just reassured him that no, it is not your fault. And I thought, see, look, a kid would think something like that. They really would, right? That it is his fault. So that was a real cute scene. And then Cody, now mind you, Emma and Gio are at the Brown Dog Bar, and they're asking to put flyers, pass flyers out. And can he post a flyer? First he says, no, they have a policy of no flyers. And Gio said, look at this face. She's out there all alone. She's lost. She could be hurt. And the guy looked at the face a little Outback and said, well, she is cute. Okay, just this once, right? So they get a phone call while they're sitting there, and they rush on over. But the person only had Outback's leash, and I mean collar with Emma's phone number on it. So they gave him the collar, and now they come back to the bar, same table, the flyers were still there, and Emma's down in the dumps, and she messes up everything, and blah, 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 blah. So Gio comes around, and he puts his arm around her, and he wipes her little tear, and they look at each other in their face. And he gives her a pep talk. I thought they were going to kiss, but they didn't go there with him yet. And gives her a pep talk. And, she's not a quitter. She doesn't give up, blah, blah, blah. So she goes, you're right. We're going to go out there and we're going to find Outback. So he's saying, look, if I have to, we may have to put a reward on the flyer. That might increase our chances. And so she goes, oh, that could. Are you going to go to Tracy for the reward? He says, no. She said, but you and Tracy get along. She likes you. He says, yeah, I actually feel like I earned Tracy's respect. He says, but then when she found out she's my great grandmother, she completely expected something different of me, other than the relationship that we were building. He says, and I'm not ready for that. I thought, okay. He says, if I'm going to ask anybody, it's my grandpa Sonny, because he has accepted me as his family ever since I could remember. And nothing has changed with him. Yeah, he's my grandpa, but he acts the same as he's always acted towards me, like I'm family. So he says, I'll ask him for money, they could put a reward for Outback. So they're going to go look for Outback. And what was cute is Cody had his big old hoagie sandwich, or some call it submarine, but I think that was a hoagie. Huge, big, long one. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's going to be good. And he says, oh, nope, got to do this right. So he goes over to the little cooler, handheld cooler there, and he takes out his brewski, and he turns back around and the hoagie's gone. And he's like, now, wait a minute. What is going on? I thought it was Molly, because Christina was over there talking to him about Molly, saying, see, Christina needs to stay out of everybody's business. She really does. You should give Molly another try. You should blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, no. No, Christina, you're the one that messed up everything. Seriously. So anyway, he goes to the stable, and there's little Outback saying, oh my goodness, this hoagie's for me. And she was chowing down on Cody's sandwich. Now, I don't know. I don't think Cody has seen Outback before. Now, Rocco, because it's Rocco's dog now, but I'm thinking of who's at the Quartermains that has seen Outback. Rocco, Danny. I don't think Cody ever has. I don't even think Tracy. Has Tracy seen Outback? I can't remember. Daily comment corner, if Tracy has seen Outback before, type that in the comments, because I don't think so. So pretty much Emma and Gio are going to have to end up at the Quartermains looking for Outback, because now the caller with the phone number is not on the dog anymore. So it's not like Cody could look and give them a buzz, right? Then we have, let's see. I said all that. Britt talks to Jason. He finds her on the docks, and it's after midnight. He's kind of checking around. He was going to check where the body was found of the judge, and kind of, getting his thoughts about Spoon Island right there. Body was found here, whatever. And he says, Britt, what are you doing here? She says, I'm getting the skyline view. And he looked at her like, well, that makes no sense, because, and if you think about what she said, Spoon Island is right across the way. On Spoon Island, you're looking across the water at Port Charles, you see the skyline. She's on the dock. And where she's at on the dock, she can't turn around and see no skyline. She's going to see dock buildings, right? She gets a great view of Spoon Island. And I thought, well, that comment didn't make any sense, but I don't know if anybody realized that. So they're talking, and she's asking him about Rocco. And now, mind you, she's calling him Rocco. See, she only called him Ben to get under Lulu's skin. Because she called him Rocco to Jason, and she's been calling Rocco Rocco for years. She said, what kind of person has Rocco grown into? And Jason said, why don't you ask, what does he like? What are his likes? What are his dislikes? And Jason said, why don't you ask him yourself? She said, because Dante and Lulu would have a fit. Oh, can't talk to me like I'm going to kidnap him. And so Jason sits down and he tells him all his characteristics, the kind of person he is, what he likes, what he doesn't like. And she says, so he's turned into be a real good kid, because he goes, he's cautious. He wants to think about what he's going to do before he does it. And she goes, oh, well, he's nothing like, he didn't get that from me. And then she says, yeah, but what am I saying? He didn't get anything from me because I only carried the embryo. See, she's acknowledging that. So I don't think they're going to go down the road with rewriting history with somehow Rocco being her biological child. She just acknowledged the fact that Rocco couldn't have inherited anything from her. And thank goodness, because she wouldn't want him to have inherited the Huntington's disease, right? So anyway, she says, what about Danny? He says, ooh, now Danny is the opposite. Danny is adventurous. Danny wants to just act. He wants to get out there. He goes, he and Rocco balance each other out. He says they consider themselves brothers because Sam and Dante were raising him, the two, and Scout as a family. So she goes, oh, he goes, when I was gone, you know. So he goes, and I'm happy. I'm happy that they have each other. So anyway, he says, you know what, Britt, it's late. No, she goes, well, why are you out here? You need to be home. What's your son doing? He goes, Danny's in bed. She goes, that's what you think. She goes, you're a terrible father, by the way. She had to say that. And he just looked at her because he knew she didn't mean it. He says, no, Danny's in bed. And so he says, and I'm going straight home after I leave here. He says, okay, Britt, I'm not going to leave you here on this pier at night. Where are you staying? I'm going to drop you off. And she looks at him and she says, he says, are you staying with your mother, staying with Nina? And she says, she had told him her mother was very unhappy to see her and blah, blah, blah. It was a mistake coming back, blah, blah, blah. So she says, no, I'm staying she didn't say Pinecone because the Pinecone motel would be in, I think, Genoa City on Young and the Restless. But she said maybe the Port Charles motel, something like that. And he goes, that was shut down last year due to asbestos. She says, oh, well, I'm resourceful. I'll figure it out. And he looked at her. He says, no, I'm going to find you a place to stay. And I'm not taking no for an answer. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, I know of a whole hotel that has rooms that's owned by my best friend. Now, whether she would want to stay at the Metro Court, that's where she was living before she left town. So it's not that she wouldn't want to stay at the Metro Court. She was living there. I don't know why this doesn't take her to the Metro Court and get her a room. But Jason also has the room above Bobby's. He could just take her there and say, you could stay. I stay at the Quartermains. You could stay here. Because she goes, it's just for the night. He goes, fine, just for one night. You know it's not going to be just for one night. Now, I'm hoping he doesn't take her to the queues because that could be very awkward for Dante with Rocco. Because, right now, Rocco is at his mother's house tonight, but tomorrow night could be Dante's night, because they share custody. So that to me, would be a little insensitive if he takes Britt to the Quartermains. And plus, come on, Monica's already running Hotel Quartermain. We're not just going to add Britt in there when we got the Metrocourt Hotel and we have the Cosmopolitan or Metropolitan Hotel in Port Charles, Jason. So we'll see where Jason ends up taking her. And we have Molly. She asked Elizabeth to meet her and she wants to talk about her father. And Elizabeth, they're talking about him taking that digital retreat. And Molly says, that doesn't sound like my dad, does it? Elizabeth says, you know what? I kind of think it does. Rick is changing for the better. I see it. And so she says, yeah, but then Molly ended up bringing up Christina and her antics, right? And she says, what are you talking about? She goes, yeah, Christina wanted to break up Ava and my dad because she knew I didn't want my dad with Ava. And she nudged him in your direction. She said, because I'm going to tell you quite frankly, Elizabeth, you bring out a better side of my dad. You do. And Liz just looked at her and she says, so Ava and my dad aren't together anymore, So anyway, that's how they made sure Elizabeth found that out. Because remember, she told Christina, if I find out that you have been up to meddling and yeah, well, you found out, but do what you must, Elizabeth, because Christina will say, you go ahead and do that. And I'm gonna have to tell Lucky was the one who told me to do it. So there. But that's it. Nothing else happened. Yeah, there was nothing else that happened today. So Christina goes to Cody telling him, try again with Molly. I was like, shut up, Christina. Nobody wants to hear you. So I'll be back. Oh, comment corner. Let's go to comment corner. Comment corner. I'm going to start from the top down. Oki says, say what? Oh, let me turn on my trusty dusty timer because I'm only going to do 5 minutes of it. Stopwatch. There we go. Say what you want about SAS, Stephen A. Smith. He can act. I need more Brick. I like him as Brick too. Oki says Chase needs to be suspended at the very least, but Anna is a rule breaker herself. Then Oki says Chase is married to Brook Lynn. No, I'm confused because he is acting, must want to say like he's married to Willow. And I agree with you on that, right? And then Anne says Michael needs a new lawyer. Chase is more like Inspector Gadget. He creates a domino effect where everywhere he goes, when he gets involved and thinks he's helping, LOL. And then Doris says, when is Drew going to Washington? Drew ain't never going to Washington at all, ever. And Oki says, Marco Polo has been warned. Alicia says, in 2025, I know exactly what you mean. Daily recap, Lady 100. Ezra Hannah says, small town is different. Everyone knows each other. Tulip says, Michael better hire a new attorney. Bring in Nora Gannon. Oh, I would love to see Nora Gannon. I love that actress. She's so good. Gives Diana a run for her money. Terry says, Sam and Jason were living together, sexing together, way before Drew came into the picture. When Jason was away, they thought, I'm dead here. Here comes Drew. Fit scooping in to be the hero. She got with him, and oh, I'm pregnant. It's got to be his, but no. Oh, you trying to rewrite history. Uh, what it was, she didn't want her baby to come up in Jason's life, so she chose to keep her mouth shut. That's what I remember. Okay, girls, do you forgot to put wink, wink? Because see, wink, wink, when Drew came in, Drew was Jason. So when Sam got with him, she was thinking she was getting married. She married him. She thought she was marrying Jason, and Jason, gave up the life and they started Aurora and blah, blah, blah. Drew wasn't invented until Steve Burton was coming back and he was taking the role of Jason back. And then Oki says, sounds good to me. That's a good rewrite, right? Jarvis says, I think Chase needs to be fired. DB says, the look on Carly's face when Jason said he brought Britch back won't uh won't be looking wherever wait, won't be looking won't be any look we've seen when she finds out Brennan recruited Joss, and half the town knows, and Jason said nothing. November will be nuts. Yeah, there's going to be a reckoning to pay. Krista says, I hope Drew and Willow are taken out in November. Arden says, Marco may turn against his father. I kind of see that coming. And I kind of see Marco being killed. Oki says Marco better flee the country because Sidwell is not the 1, 2, or 3. And then Lisa says, you're right, but Britt and Liesel not acknowledging Rocco as Britt's child all of these years while Lulu was napping. They are rewriting history again. Melody says, I love Sonny and Brick. Turn the tables on Drew. DB says Drew was so confused. Yes, he was, and I love the look on his face. Adina, that Drew's going to talk to Marco. Drew's going to think Marco set him up, and when he finds out he's Michael's lawyer, he's going to go after Marco, LOL. That'll be a huge mistake because Sidwell ain't going to stand. Sidwell might say, look, I might have to take my own son out, but I sure am not going to let nobody else do it, right? And then Chase is so going to tell Willow that Drew bribed the judge, then got rid of her so she could never have her kids. And that's when Willow's gonna kidnap the kids, maybe on Halloween when they go trick-or-treating. Jason should propose to Britt, that she marries him, so she'll be under his protection and financial support until she gets back to making money, especially since the WSB is on her tail. Nah, that's drastic. Because for one, it's not, the WSB is not going to treat that like mob boss code of honor, right? The questions they have for Britt have nothing to do with Jason. And Jason doesn't know a doggone thing about what she was doing or who she was really working for. So it's not like Jason can testify against her anyway. So now there's no need for them to get married. Jason just pay her MetroCorp bill and give her money and say, pay me back when you get a chance. Krista says, yes, definitely 100. And the last comment is from Lisa that says, when is it going to come out that Chase saw the judge right before she was killed? Chase told Anna that, begging the judge for Willow to see her kids. He said, I talked to Judge Herring about the custody case. And Anna just looked at him like, what are you doing? Sonny got Drew good. It's about time for Drew and Willow to get some of what they have been doing to everyone. Chase wants to be Willow's hero. He is still in love with her, even if she is with Drew. He wants to be there for her. Hero Chase will tell Drew everything. I am in 100% agreement with you on that. He is going to spill those beans very next time. Matter of fact, Not the next time he sees her. He's going to seek her out to tell her. He doesn't care what Anna told him in the least. So, anyway, everybody, I will be back tomorrow with another daily recap of General Hospital.